working.
Are we
on my
live
back
or is this
skill
a
to make
rehearsal?
No, this
Okay.
We've been brainstorming and figuring out what the heck we're going to start talking about
Sure,
first.
sure.
So let's just go. The big news today was about Heroes in Crisis, Tom King's new
Yeah.
project. Very different type of book that he's obviously extremely passionate about. Tell us about it from the publisher's point of view of why this is an important project for you guys.
Well, so you start.
Yeah, look, I think Tom's hallmark is that he does very personal stories. I mean, they may be big and epic in scope, but these stories come from a personal place. He was a member of the CIA. He was deployed overseas. And, I think he has some very personal things that he's sharing through this story. It's about what would really happen if there were heroes and villains engaging in these kinds of battles, and they've seen all sorts of traumatic events and battles and people being killed. Wouldn't they need some form of therapy, of healing? And if there were a place for that, what would that do for them? And so that's kind of the initial premise of it all. And then, of course, there's a huge massacre. I hope I'm not giving too much away, Dan.
I've done it twice.
Okay, got
I've done
it.
it twice
Right,
already.
so there's a huge massacre, and it becomes a murder mystery. Was there someone within Sanctuary that basically snapped and went and killed all these other people there? So,
Yeah, I mean,
expand upon that?
listen, at the heart of it, it's a Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman story. They're the
Right.
ones that created Sanctuary. They're the ones, as leaders of the superhero community, are trying to find a way to help others through the trauma that comes out with being a hero. It's a really incredibly thought out story, and like I said, it starts as a murder mystery, but it does start to expand wider and really does explore the entire DC universe in a way that I think we haven't seen in quite a while.
Right.
Tom has a very, as Jim was saying, very personal take on this, and because of that, I think we're really to see a level of emotional depth with the characters that we haven't seen in some time.
DC Universe, the SVOD service, made a big splash here.
Right.
A lot of big announcements. Fuck Batman! I mean, come on! I mean, Jesus! What a way to debut the Titans show. And then Geoff Johns with Stargirl. How important is that overall to not just all the DC properties, but for publishing, because digital comics are a big part of that.
Yes,
I know you guys have been
Right.
pushing that since you guys became co-publishers.
Right.
That's always been a big part of what you guys are
Right.
doing there.
Yeah, so you mentioned it's an SVOD service, but it's a lot more than that.
Is that what the kids say?
Well, I don't know. That's what I read somewhere online.
Okay.
Anyway, so what we love about this from a publishing point of view is that we can put the comics adjacent to the material that they've inspired, right? So when you talk about Titans, that show, we've got the comics from the 80s. We've got, Hawk and Dove show up in the, in an episode. So we've got the original Hawk and Dove run. We've got Rob Liefeld's run on the characters from the 90s.
Who's that guy?
And we have we have Hawk and Dove from New 52. So there's a lot of backstory that people that come into this app or this service who might not have ever read comics will now be intrigued. Like, well, I want to know more about these characters. I want to know more about Doom Patrol. They're another team that is showcased first in Titans, right? So we have this great opportunity of giving people access to thousands of comics, but allowing us to curate it and basically kind of help direct them, kind of navigate through this big pile of content, figure out what's meaningful to them, and also help them explore and understand the universe. There's also an encyclopedia section, if I could just pip it out a little section. Yeah, so for the first time, right, you can just go in that app and explore and find out who all these characters are and get a kind of a definitive timeline of who these characters are. And as you know, these characters often get reinvented over the decades.
Oh yeah, the retconning that has to happen.
And it can get a
over the
little
years.
confusing, a little complicated, and we want to streamline that down and simplify it so that people can understand it. Then lastly, there's community, and so people that love these shows can kind of basically rate the content, share it with each other, and communicate with one another in a safe, inclusive environment.
The white whale for the comic book industry for years has been, find new readers, find younger readers,
Sure,
right?
yep.
Is that also where things like your deal with Walmart come into play?
You're seeing the streaming service being available and making the books so that people can sample it much easier. We have our Ink and Zoom line, which are specifically going to be built, original graphic novels built to really reach out to new readers. And that line is very interesting in particular because people might think it might be just a young down version of our stories, but it's far from that. There are some really heavy topics and socially important stories being told, and things that are pushing the envelope, both in dealing with sexuality and some issues in regards to human trafficking and things of that nature that we're telling in this area, because this is an audience that's hungry for stories like that. So, and that's a younger audience. It's a teen audience, but it's not the audience we have. And then Walmart, again, it plays to the more traditional sensibilities of comics, but in a place where we're hoping that people find it for the first time. You got to realize the number of stores that our comics are being put in Walmart almost double our reach from our direct market. Which I think is really important for us, because ultimately the specialty market has been so strong for us for so long, but if we want to grow, if we want to reach new people, then we've got to find ways to get to them. And it's not just about taking the same books and presenting them to the different people, because if you're being introduced to so many series right now, you might find them impenetrable.
Some of them are, yeah. Some of them are
you know
tough
what I mean?
to crack.
And that's a shame. But what we're doing with the books for Walmart is that they're very accessible. The art is spectacular, and they're visually exciting. The stories are really more to playing to the sensibilities that for somebody with minimal knowledge of characters will understand. And then we have new material in there to really capture whatever the essence of what's happening today in our books too. So it gives it a sense of freshness as well. So we have our fingers crossed that these initiatives will make it exciting. And the fact that what we're going to do is in Walmart, we're putting out 2 books every 2 weeks, so that we want to get that rhythm of people on a continual buying pattern, just the same way they did on the newsstand and in the direct market.
Right.
The Black Label, which is where you let superstar talent just run wild. And you got Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. doing their Superman Year One.
Right.
You got Lee Bermejo and Brian Azzarello
Batman Damned.
Batman Damned. How great is that imprint going to be to really get top talent that isn't locked down somewhere else to say, come play with our toys. Here you go, have at it.
Right. Well, I think that's the general appeal of it, is that we're giving them open-ended deadlines, we're giving them freedom from core continuity, we're giving them tremendous resources, a tremendous push, and again, giving them the creativity to tell the best story they can featuring these iconic characters. And it's been interesting seeing the pitches come in, the level of talent. We love the fact that people are excited about doing something new and different with the characters. And you're gonna definitely see that, like in Batman Damned, it's a story where the Joker's been killed and he's basically got to figure out why. And it's an interesting adventure through the darkest corners of the DC universe. So he's interacting with characters like Zatanna and Deadman, and characters that he typically doesn't interact with much.
What book do you guys have coming up that could be one that really surprises people?
You know, we got a couple of crazy little books coming out that have some potential. Because Mr. Miracle, was the little book that could. It didn't have high expectations. But we're doing an Inferior 5 book with Jeff Lemire and Keith Giffen, which I think is going to have some real interesting storytelling and some real interesting potential behind it. I'm excited by that series. But I mean, naturally, tonality-wise, I think the one that's going to have the strongest impact is going to be Heroes in Crisis. And then also the craziest book that could come out could be Batman Who Laughs is going to have a miniseries. And that's going to be Scott Snyder and Jock working together. And those guys did a brilliant job on the Black Mirror when Scott was writing a detective. It's going to be fun to see them together because it's a horror comic more so than a Batman comic, a superhero comic. So I think that's where Scott excels, and I'm really excited to see him to go back into that zone and write in that style again.
And now Geoff Johns is returning as a pure creative. Before, we were fortunate to have him obviously spearhead and shepherd Doomsday Clock. But now he's going to be doing Shazam. He's going to be doing a lot more work for the DC Universe line. So we're really excited for that.
Yeah, and on a personal level, I think the DC Universe missed having a Geoff Johns book. So it's kind of nice to have him back on a monthly schedule with Shazam. So we were holding the book for him. We knew what the movie was. We knew how it was based upon a lot of what he created in the New 52 version of Shazam, and he's going to take that again and help.
And
bring it
Aquaman,
back.
I mean,
exactly.
His Aquaman informed much of the movie.
So it's really a lot of fun in that sense, and it's great to, like I said, it's great to have him back on that. I think we mentioned 3 Jokers as well, and that's a lot of fun stuff to have on him.
Last thing, you got a new title now. Congratulations, Mr. Chief Creative Officer. What does that mean for you and what you're going to be handling in DC? Because at every company, that's different.
Sure. Well, initially it's a lot more reading. So, there's a lot of reading going on, probably a little less drawing. But look, I'm here to really assist and support all the other people within the divisions of Warner Brothers that adapt the characters. It's really about helping the filmmakers, the showrunners, the writers make the best versions of their characters as they adapt them. It's about giving them the best source material, educating them about the core conceits of the characters. So it's really about communication and collaboration. So it's really been, look, I've been doing it for about a month now. It's been pretty cool. The only not so cool thing about it is you can't share all this cool stuff with anyone you know.
You can with us, don't worry, nobody's listening.
Sure.
Nobody's listening. Nobody's listening.
Yeah, right. So it's this weird double-edged sword, like, oh my God, did you know? And you can't share it with anyone.